So let's chat about shadow work and what it's like working with me, your fairy godmother. So, first off, we're going to start off with what is shadow work. You may have seen this floating around online, the concept of doing this kind of work. It is a space of uncovering, right? So, we are kind of peeling back those layers and showing, like letting that side of us show that we keep hidden. And all of us do this in our human experience. There are things that, there are thoughts, there are moods, there are emotions that we just don't want other people to know. Um, there are thoughts and everything that are just so compacted down because we've been dealing with them since childhood. Um, those kind of things are the things that we work on in shadow work, right? So when you're working with me, it's a space of therapeutic personal development. I come from a background of being a clinical mental health and substance abuse therapist. And so that's always going to be incorporated in all of my sessions. But then there's also the intersection of my spiritual gifts. So incorporating that space of empathy, teaching you how to use your intuition as you're navigating these life experiences. All of that stuff is going to be included in working with me with shadow work. The way that I prefer to set these sessions up is either in a block of 3 sessions or a block of 6 sessions. There are things that we may have at hand that are really, really important, and that you're just like, I need to sit down and talk with somebody about this and really just kind of blow it out the water, get it out of the way, get it off my chest, get it off my heart. And those short-term things, we can really focus on in the span of 3 sessions, right? These are 45-minute sessions. But then there are some things that maybe are a little bit deeper rooted and may take something a little bit more long term. And so I prefer to look at those things in a block of 6 sessions, because as things come to the surface, we have to be able to examine them, look at them, and then kind of wrap it up for the day. I don't ever want to open anything and then leave you guys just walking around with that just lingering on your heart and your mind. And so we really take the time to make sure that we process through things, we identify those feelings surrounding whatever the situation is, and we really talk about it. And then I leave you with some skills, some things to think about for the next session, a little tinge of homework, nothing that's too deep, some journaling, just a way for you to leave the session and go look at life with a different set of glasses, like a different lens, a different prescription. And so certain things take a little longer than 3 sessions. So that's where those 6 sessions come in. I prefer that we meet once a week. Once every other week is pretty good as well, because schedules and life and things like that. Um, but there's not really too much of any, like, things of depth that we can just conquer and cover in the span of one session. So when you're doing shadow work, I like for you guys to have the understanding that there is actual work. I'm not doing the work, it's you guys. I'm just facilitating, gently guiding, prompting you to look at certain things with a different, with a different outlook, and helping you to work through those things. Can we DIY some shadow work? Yeah, there's ways that you can read some stuff and you're just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense for me. But our human mind needs to be challenged to come outside of the patterns of thinking that we've developed, because if those patterns of thinking have been serving you, then you wouldn't be running into the walls that you're running into. Who is shadow work for? It's really for everybody. There's a point in time where we all could use a little bit of guidance and an unbiased perspective. Um, I always say come in with a goal that you have in mind, a specific thing you want to work on. We're going to set 1 to 2 goals. 3 sessions, we're typically working on one thing. If it's 6 sessions, there might be 2 goals. Sometimes people come in and they want to spend half the time looking at business related or career related stuff, and then the other half of the time looking at family. 9 times out of 10, all of those things are intertwined anyway. So we do set goals, we do have a focus, and we work through those sessions in that way. I do accept payment plans because these are a larger service. So I do accept payment plans. There is a deposit that's due before we start the first session, and you can pace yourself through and pay for 1 to 2 sessions at a time. Just before the last session, the invoice needs to be completely paid out. If you are a part of my Patreon community, you will receive a free natal chart refresher session with your shadow work. So we'll go back through, if you've done your natal chart with me, which most of my Patreon community has, we'll go back through your natal chart and just kind of compare and contrast and see where you're at and see how we need to add some of those angles into your shadow work. A lot of people like to get their natal chart done prior to doing the shadow work. So if that is something that you want to do, you'll definitely get a discount for doing 2 larger services with me for booking those. So this is a great time right now. It's always a great time for shadow work. There's never like oh, it's the top of the year, I want to get myself together. No, you can do shadow work during the summer. Anytime you come up on something that leaves you feeling stuck or leaves you feeling like you got it. Like sometimes we just feel like we have to just stretch and we don't know what space to expand into. This is what the guidance of shadow work is for. Sometimes you have come to just an impasse in your family relationships or your personal relationships, and you're like, why do I keep facing the same thing over and over again? These sessions are great to work that out. Lots of times people come because they want to just kind of hash some things out with themselves where love and relationships are concerned. A lot of the shadow work has that I've done over time has to do with just holding space. We carry a lot throughout the day. We're trying to manage our careers. We're trying to be an individual. Maybe you're trying to parent. Maybe you are a spouse. Whatever it is, sometimes it's just a lot on your plate. And we love and value our friendships, but there's a benefit to having an unbiased place that you can come to, an unbiased safe space where there is no judgment and nobody else has to know your business. So if you're looking forward to booking shadow work, the email address is there. It's 3L Love Light Lucid. You can definitely email me there. Typically, we'll set up a consultation just to kind of go over what direction you want to go in with your shadow work. I mean, that's included in the session. So it is kind of like an additional little something because we have to do that in order to set your goals. We also use Slack as a message board to keep track of your goals and your progress. And for those of you who have active minds at night, if you're up journaling or just thinking about something, you can drop it in Slack and there'll be continuity there in our conversation. So I'd love to work with you on some shadow work. And like I said, if you're part of my Patreon community, you receive that natal chart refresher free. If you're not part of the Patreon community, but you want to do some shadow work, Join the Patreon community. There's also discounts for my Patreon members as well when they're doing any type of service with me. I look forward to working with you on your shadow sessions.